Manish, you had written a book on ITTOs, Mastering Input Tools and Techniques and Outputs, but you've unpublished it now. It was such a popular book. People loved it. You had a complete, what I call PM Dhwani audio course on ITTOs. Why have you removed it? Right? And does this course that you have cover the ITTOs in as much details that all the inputs and all the tools and techniques and all the outputs of all the 49 processes are covered? Well, the answer would surprise you. And this is the purpose of this particular video. This is Maneesh Vijay from PM Pulse, and we bring to you yet another episode of PM Ninja video series. To understand what is ITTOs when it comes to the 2022 onwards PMP exam and how they both actually gel well, to what extent we need to understand ITTOs, has it changed, what are the focus areas now? Keep watching. If you ask me, hey, are ITTOs as important as they were in 2021 till 2021 December? Well, I would say yes and no. No, because now the way PMP has been formulated, the PMP exams have been formulated, it's not basically focused on a specific PMBOK. In fact, right now, they're taking portions of PMBOK 6th edition, they're taking from the 7th edition, they're getting a lot of stuff from the Agile standards from PMI. They're also looking at the PMI approved PMP prep guide. They are also looking at these organizational change management requirements, standards, a whole lot of things actually. So the number of sources are quite a bit. So you cannot say, hey, the PMP is based only on PMBOK. Therefore, the way we understood ITTOs earlier on does not work now. So I see that there are a lot of videos by so-called experts, and they basically talk about the same ITTOs, and they say, well, why is it so important? Now, this may happen because, changing a complete course is not easy. So people try to create some patchwork and say, hey, this is still okay. But what we do is no matter how little the change, we change the entire course. Because, when you educate something, when you learn something, you cannot change something in between and say, okay, now everything fixed. It's like a beautiful highway and there was a little bit of a spot in it. So instead of changing a whole section, you actually just covered it up. And before you know it, it gets dug up and, it's bad for driving. So it's that bad. So a lot of people are doing it, and therefore they're still harking about the same thing that, learn all the ITTOs. To be honest, that's a very big disservice. Nobody should be doing it. You're sending people in the wrong direction. So let me tell you guys, ITTOs are important, but not in the way they were important until 2021. You don't have to remember all the inputs. You don't have to remember all the tools and techniques, and you definitely do not have to remember all the outputs. In fact, if you look at today's version of PMP exam, they don't even consider or they even talk about knowledge areas. The concept of knowledge areas is out of the window. What is also out of the window is a fixated number of processes. There is nothing known as a 49 processes. That's also out of the window. But do they talk about process? Yes, they do talk about process. But what you need to understand is that they do not now talk about processes in the same structured manner as is written down in PMBOK 6th edition. We talk about it in a more generic level. Okay, in general, what does this process do? We need to focus attention on that, not, okay, this is the tool and technique of this particular process. No, this is not how it works, right? Not anymore. So 2022 onwards, as we are moving further into 2022 and on to at least 3 years, this pattern is going to be the same. And slowly, the examination content is shifting from PMBOK 6th edition and progressively getting into 7th edition. So keep that in mind. Right? The way I have created the course will take care of this thing for the next 3 years. Yes, that is how that is so comprehensive this course is, right? And plus you get to learn it practically. So understand that. Now, there is no 49 processes. They're just processes. Now, sometimes, let's say in PMP exam, they don't even use the actual names of the processes in exams. Nowadays, they will simply say you're working on deliverables. So they will not write that direct and managed project work is going on. No, it could be create deliverables, right? So you need to not get fixated on specific names. Instead, you need to focus on what is the purpose of this particular process and in general understand it, right? And that's the biggest disservice that many of these trainers are doing by telling you that you got to mug it up, you got to learn it, you got to know your ITTOs. No, things have changed now, right? And that's the reason why a lot of people face problems here. The way PMP looks at processes now is that they want it to be more fluid, that based on the kind of methodology you're working in, the fluidity should be there to kind of tailor. So now the focus is on tailoring. So if the focus is on tailoring, you will find that the processes will be more principle based rather than techniques and tools and techniques based, right? So keep those things in mind. So understand, what does a process do, right? What is the real purpose of the process? So for example, if I say, what is the purpose of a conduct procurement? So don't think about, that, yes, bidders conference is a tool and technique, right? Don't learn it like that. Understand that what is the purpose of conduct procurement? When does it start? It starts basically once the planning has been done and all the documentation that you needed for reaching out to the vendors and for selecting them at a particular point of time, all of that planning work and the documentation work has been done. So what do? We now start the process of reaching out to the bidders or conduct procurements. Basically starts the moment you send out RFPs or basically advertise it, depending on what kind of organization and regulation is applicable to you. And therefore, you send it out. People will then send back their proposal. In between, you will have bidders conference if they need some kind of additional information for clarification. And once they send their proposals, you will evaluate them in multiple rounds or whatever the case may be. You'll use the selection criteria to select them. And finally, this entire process would end the moment you sign a contract. That's it. So once you understand it like this, that is a better way to answer questions. And once you understand a process in this manner, then you'll realize that what happens in this process. And consequently, you'll imagine that, yes, distribution of RFP, right? That is one of the tools and techniques. Advertising is a tool and technique. They would also have to take care of bidders conference. So that needs to be done, right? And the main outcome would be signed contract or select, etc. So this is how you need to remember. You can completely forget what are the inputs. The inputs are not really bothered about anymore, right? So basically you have to understand tools and techniques in general, not in absolute terms, because the terminology in exams keeps on changing. So you have to figure out, okay, which process I am in, and basically they're talking about this thing. That's how you need to approach it. All right. So all tools and techniques are not important. The important ones are told by me in my training, that exactly what you need to focus on. And it becomes quite natural. It becomes quite obvious. It's not something that I'm doing something special. If you understand something, it's very easy to understand, oh, wait a second, this is the tool and technique. It's as simple as that. Now, on addition, look at the term output. From now on in PMP exams, you will not get this term called outputs. You will actually get to hear terms like artifacts. You'll get to hear outcomes. That needs to be replaced with output. And therefore, you don't have to remember all the outputs of the processes. You just need to understand, hey, what's the purpose of this? And therefore, the resultant or the deliverable or the outcome or the artifact of this particular process is this. Well, you're done. Now, in addition to all this, what is also happening is that in PMBOK 7th edition, you will find some more tools and techniques for some specific processes. Like tools and techniques like function points have been added to duration estimation, right? For cost estimation, it has been added, right? There are a few more. People are missing that because it's not there in the 6th edition. And this is what many of these trainers are doing a disservice, with due respect to them. But I hope they also get to see this particular video and revise their content, make it better. they're taking people in the wrong direction just because they don't want to change their material or whatever the case may be. Maybe they genuinely do not know or do not realize it themselves. So that's a wrong thing. Guys, understand. A lot of new tools and techniques have also been added which are not there in 6th edition. So you have to basically get a feel of things, and that is the new way of understanding the so-called ITTOs. That's the reason I removed my ITTOs book. Everything is not about money. It was a bestseller, right? So it's not about, everything is not about money. Everything is not about, patchworks. What we need to understand is, listen, ITTOs is not the same anymore. Perfect. And to believe me, you do not need a separate ITTOs, like to understand the kind of ITTOs it is done now. You don't need it. If you are taught in a proper manner, if you have the correct material to go through, it will automatically come to you, right? So one thing I can tell you, and I'm not trying to tom, I'm just simply saying that I've created all the courses for PMP afresh. It's not a hodgepodge of the existing stuff so that I don't have to. No, I started from the very first slide, from the very first, the entire concept all over again, because you cannot mess around with education. You have to get it right perfectly, right? And I had to make it such that it'll last you 3 years, despite the PMP exam is slightly shifting, but you'll still be absolutely okay. So that's basically what you need to understand. So ITTOs, please do not fall for this trap. You don't have to learn it the way it was done earlier. Okay? This is Maneesh Vijay from PM Pulse. I hope that I've been able to clarify this very important doubt that people have. They've been asking me, and I'm sure if some people are asking me, they're asking a lot of other people. So try to share this video as much as you can. It's important for people, and it's important that you get the right information. So guys, chill out. PMP, if you understand, it's very easy. Okay? Don't try to mug up. Don't try to, cram everything. No, just take it easy. Understand the concept. You'll get 2 benefits. You clear PMP exam. Second is you become practically effective. That's even more important because project management is going to be your career. PMP is just a step in that career. Don't overthink it. Okay? So guys, subscribe to this particular channel so that when I come out with more videos, you get to know about it as soon as possible. And also, press the notification bell. Take care of that. And please engage with me if you have any questions about ITTOs. If you still have any doubts, I'll be more than happy to engage with you. I want to make sure that my passion for project management rubs on to you. And I would do whatever it takes to clarify any doubts that you have. Take care, guys. Keep rocking. Catch you later.